On July 31st, 2022, a seemingly routine early morning drive ended in a tragedy that shook Strongsville, Ohio, to its core. 2 young lives were lost, and a community was left grappling with one question. Was it an accident or a calculated act of murder? This is the story of Mackenzie Shirilla, a high school senior whose life went from TikToks to trial. Today on Crime Thread, we unravel the shocking case of love, manipulation, and deadly intent. But before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth crime stories. Mackenzie Shirilla, born on August 2nd, 2004, in Strongsville, Ohio, a seemingly typical teenage girl who loved social media and spending time with friends. But by her teenage years, those closest to her described her as selfish and controlling. She began dating Dominic Russo, a 20-year-old entrepreneur with dreams of joining the military. To the outside world, they looked like a perfect couple. But behind the curated Instagram photos and TikTok videos lay a darker reality. Dominic confided in friends about Mackenzie's controlling behavior and frequent threats. At some point, he realized it was time to let go of this toxic relationship. He approached Mackenzie with the news about the breakup. Mackenzie disagreed and started a series of threats that would later become tragic.
I'm gonna key my car. Tell you to break the door.
Key your car and you do not let me in the house.
You're gonna key my car.
If you don't let me in the house, yes. Dom, if you do not open, you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. Like, I'm dead ass.
What do you mean?
You know it. That's exactly what I mean. You don't even know exactly what I mean. You're gonna come open this door right now, or there's gonna be a serious problem.
After multiple attempts, Mackenzie managed to convince Dominic that she would change her behavior and become a better person. She made plans for her and Dominic to attend a party at a friend's house on the 30th of July, 2022. The party began and everyone was pleased that the couple had reconciled. They stayed at the party until the early hours of the next day. At 5 a.m., Mackenzie woke up Dominic and told him that she would take him home. While she was waking up Dominic, Davion Flanagan, who was one of Dominic's friends, woke up as well and asked for a ride home. And with that, Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion left a party around 5 a.m. Mackenzie drove her 2018 Toyota Camry, with Dominic in the passenger seat and Davion in the back, with Mackenzie being the only one wearing a seatbelt. Surveillance footage showed them leaving the neighborhood calmly, but just moments later, Mackenzie turned onto Progress Drive, a dead-end industrial road, and floored the accelerator. Police rushed to the scene. They found the car in pieces. Dominic and Davion were pronounced dead at the scene. Mackenzie remarkably survived, but her Prada slippers were still pressed against the gas pedal. At first, the crash seemed like a tragic accident, possibly caused by impaired driving. Mackenzie tested positive for THC and police found mushrooms in her car. But as investigators dug deeper, they found disturbing evidence that suggested something far more sinister. The car's black box revealed Mackenzie floored the accelerator for the entire 3/4-mile stretch, never once touching the brake. Surveillance footage from nearby businesses showed her turning calmly onto Progress Drive, contradicting claims of losing control. Even more damning, Mackenzie had visited the road days earlier, suggesting she may have been scouting the location. Witnesses also told police about her history of threatening Dominic, including a chilling remark weeks before the crash: "I'll crash this car and kill us both." The evidence painted a picture of premeditation. Soon after the incident, and while the police were busy investigating and collecting evidence, Mackenzie was enjoying herself attending concerts, celebrating Halloween, wearing a corpse and marijuana customs. If anything, her behavior only fueled the case, as it was inconsistent with that of a grieving person responsible for 2 lost lives. Police began to suspect that something was deeply wrong, as Mackenzie's behavior did not align with what they would expect from someone innocent. Her actions and demeanor raised significant red flags, leading investigators to question whether her claims and conduct were consistent with the remorse or grief of someone who had unintentionally caused such a devastating tragedy. With the data collected from the black box, the footage from the surveillance cameras, the testimonies of those surrounding Mackenzie about her threats toward Dominic, and her behavior after the incident, the case was ready. Mackenzie Shirilla was arrested on November 4, 2022. and initially taken to a juvenile detention facility, as she was only 17 years old at the time of the incident. Under Ohio law, her age classified her as a juvenile, but due to the severity of the charges, including 2 counts of murder, prosecutors sought to have her tried as an adult. This decision set the stage for what would become a high-profile and contentious legal battle. During the pre-trial phase, the prosecution offered Mackenzie a plea deal, likely seeking to avoid a drawn-out trial while securing a conviction. While the specifics of the plea deal were not publicly disclosed, such offers typically involve reduced charges or lighter sentences in exchange for a guilty plea. However, Mackenzie rejected the plea deal, signaling her intent to fight the charges and maintain her innocence.
That's correct, Your Honor. I went on Monday and discussed this at great length with Mackenzie the week before that, with her parents present, talked with her today, and it's her desire that she does not want him to plead to 2 counts of murder.
And Mackenzie, are you satisfied with your lawyer so far? You can stay seated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Her attorney stated in court that Mackenzie was aware of the risks of going to trial, but she and her family had decided to proceed, believing they had a case to argue that the crash was a tragic accident rather than a premeditated act of murder. This rejection of the plea deal ultimately led to her waiving her right to a jury trial, instead opting for a bench trial where the judge alone would determine her guilt. This decision reflected a calculated legal strategy, as a single judge might be less influenced by emotional elements than a jury, but it was a gamble that would ultimately not pay off. In 2023, Mackenzie Shirilla faced charges of aggravated vehicular homicide and murder. Prosecutors argued that this was no accident. They painted Mackenzie as a controlling girlfriend who couldn't handle rejection. Witnesses testified about her aggressive behavior, including breaking into Dominic's home and making violent threats. The defense countered, claiming the crash was a tragic accident. They suggested Mackenzie might have accidentally hit the gas instead of the brake, or that a mechanical failure was to blame. But the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. The surveillance footage, black box data, and testimony about her previous threats. The judge called Mackenzie's actions deliberate, intentional, and purposeful, describing her as hell on wheels. She was found guilty on all counts.
The video clearly shows the purpose and intent of the defendant. She chose a course of death and destruction that day. She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels. Her actions were controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder.
The courtroom was filled with emotion as both Mackenzie and her mother addressed the families of the victims, sharing their thoughts and feelings during this deeply poignant moment.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Mackenzie was sentenced to 2 concurrent life sentences with the possibility of parole after 15 years. For Dominic and Davion's families, it was a bittersweet moment. While some felt justice had been served, others believed Mackenzie deserved harsher punishment. 2 young men lost their lives in a senseless act of violence, and 1 young woman's life is forever changed. Was this a tragic accident or a chilling act of revenge? Mackenzie Shirilla will be eligible for parole in 2037, but for the families of Dominic and Davion, the pain will last a lifetime. Public opinion was divided. Some viewed her as a cold-blooded killer who meticulously planned the crash. Others saw a reckless teenager whose actions spiraled out of control. Mackenzie's TikToks and social media posts after the crash, including one where she claimed, "I'm the one you'd die for," only fueled the controversy. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think it was an intentional murder or a tragic accident? Stay tuned for more true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.